Hello, everybody. How are you this November 5th, 2023? And what was I thinking last night? Oh, I heard that come January, it'll be 4 years since our lockdown pandemic. Wow. I mean, that'll show you something about time, won't it? Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here today. I'm very tired. Hello, Marsha, Laura, Cheryl. Hello. Last night we went to my grandson's final band competition. They were amazing. And it's only been a couple weeks since I saw them perform, and the distance they have come, it is just something else. They won their category. Let me see. I've got the information right here, but they were just, oh, wonderful. And it shows how hard they work at practice. When I was in band, we practiced every single day. We practiced weekends. It didn't matter. If you belonged to the band, you worked hard. So let me show you real quickly. Um, okay. They up here is there was a shadow on my forehead, but here is Mark and I. My grandson is right here, Evan, and there's Charlie and my daughter Becky. So we were all there and had so much fun. And then here's another picture of Mark and I and my daughter Becky and my granddaughter Charlie. So we had such a good time. But now let me get to the exciting part and tell you how his band did. Okay. Oops. All right. Oops. Let me see. Okay. They won. And they're a class 4, if you know anything about marching band. They won first in music, first in marching, first in percussion, first general effect, second drum major, second color guard, and first overall for their category. And what really impressed me, because there's a class um, 5, and they had 2 very large bands in category 5, and sometimes it's hard to beat a larger band because the sound is so strong, and a lot of bodies out there. And they ended up getting second place overall, and even though there were 2 very good large bands, so I was so happy. We got to my daughter's at like 6:15 and got in the car and went to the competition. And the thing is, about this time of year, when the sun goes down, it starts getting cold. We were there until 10 o'clock. There was a little miscommunication. My daughter had said, I want to stay for the awards. And so when they were talking about, are we going to stay for the awards? And it's like, heck yeah. It's like, sleeping through Christmas if you don't. Well, I was just trying to support my daughter's opinion of staying. We were freezing. The bands were running so far behind that the awards were supposed to take place at 8 p.m. They ended up taking place at 10:15, 10:30. Luckily, around right before 10 o'clock, my daughter said, Mom, are you sure you want to stay for the awards? And I'm like, oh, you don't? She goes, no, I'm too cold and I'm too tired. This has gone on too long. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. I am frozen and exhausted. And so we had a great time. Band band parents know how to put on a competition, and they have great dance music on in between the bands, and so we were dancing in our seat. Boy, we were having a grand time. And it's so nice to be around so many wonderful people who are there to support their kids and cheer them on. And what fun. And it brought back so many memories from my time in marching band. So I'm a huge fan of marching band, and my grandson loves it. So I am so tickled for him. He is very good. He's only a sophomore. So I think he's got a lot of potential ahead of him. He's already such a good and careful marcher, and so I'm really tickled. Anyway, but be honest with you, by the time we got home, I it was so cold, and there was some odd odor in the air. I don't know what somebody was doing or if they had sprayed the field. But I had an asthma attack. Mark and I didn't get home till almost quarter to 11 because this was down a ways. This was at least 30 miles away. And oh, but I have something to show you that I got. I went to my daughter's house, and she is so good about getting orchids. I've never had an orchid plant with all the plants that I have. She was telling me how when she went to see her sister on the Eastern Shore of Maryland last week, she found these orchids for $5 a piece. So I said to her, if you ever find another good orchid deal, would you get me one? I've never had an orchid and I'd like to try to grow one. So I've got to learn now about orchids. She said, be careful so that the flower stems don't break. So, oh, I rode home with this on my lap. I was being so careful. So I've got to learn about the world of orchids, but I think it will be a lot of fun. Jody is here. Debbie's here. Betty Meisner's here. Yay, I love it. Isn't it a pretty orchid? So when she said, well, I'll give you one of mine, and I'm like, well, give me your ugliest one because I didn't want to take her sweet orchid, but I'm so thrilled with it. So I'm going to go upstairs and make sure. And I already told you that I don't have 35 plants in the sunroom. I only have 20. So it just seemed like so many, but it wasn't. So today we've got some fun things. Um, we've got cuff bracelets that we're going to talk about and make. And then, because I saw this article in a 2009, when I see an article in some magazine or wherever, and it looks really interesting, I save it. And this is from 2009, and it was ethnic puffs. Now, I'm not sure what that exactly means, but these are Asian inspired, richly embroidered accessories that won't cost the earth. Okay. And this article is by Jill Amanda Kennedy and was in Quilting Arts magazine. So when I saw this picture, I thought, oh, I love that. I love it. And I don't know what she means about maybe some of the other. I'll have to read and let you know later. Why did the other bracelets? Why did they damage the ecosystem? And here is a close-up picture and a list of the materials. Let me get my arm to stay still. And in here is another close up. So you can see it's heavily embellished fabric. Okay. So I am working on 3 of them, and I'm going to show them to you in just a little bit. But you know how this time of year, I love doing crafts. I love holiday crafts, anything like that. And so today we are going to make a three-dimensional star. Okay. And I'm going to show you, they are so easy to make. And then I forgot, you should put a little hanger, kind of tuck it in one of the seams that you glued together. So I've got that to show you. In fact, let me see if I can pick it up. I was painting this before I came on. Here is one of them painted. And so I'm going to figure out what colors to paint them. I'm going to use my spray acrylic sealer, and I probably can hang them outside on my front porch. I thought they would look really pretty. Then I have these. What do you do if you are Catholic in early 17th century Maryland and even England, and it is against the law to be Catholic, and you want a rosary? Well, what you do, oh, thank you, Marcia. Oh, there's Pat. Oh, your daughter is there. Can we say hi to her? Oh, hi, Pat's granddaughter. How exciting you have her there for a couple of days. So, these are called Job's tears, and they are a grassy type plant, and these are the seed pods. And my daughter grew these for me. I'm so excited. So let me show you what they are and what you do with them. I learned this when I worked at the museum. And so here's a pretty pearly gray one. Oh, yes. And but I learned that they would grow these. They're on a grassy plant that sends out stems that have these on them. So here's a good one to show you. What you do is it's got the seed right in here. So you carefully pull the seed out and save that for next year's crop. But now what it does, let me get one of my pins here. It pull out all that seed that you can. It might take you a little while. Pull that there. Oh man, this has got a lot of seeds in it. I am just so tickled. I mean, this was a labor of love. But once you pull the seeds out, you realize where it was on the stem, there's a hole all the way through. So let me stick this in there, and then it comes out here. So see? So then what you do is you get a bead needle and bead thread, and you can make necklaces out of these, bracelets or rosaries if you so wish. But you just pull out the seed, which opens up the hole in the base of the bead, and then it usually helps if you clear the way for the hole before you start beading them. But I think they're beautiful. And let me find a real pretty one. Depending on when you pick them, you can get them very dark, or if you leave them on a plant a little bit longer, you can get the white ones. So I just thought I would show you these. And oh, she washed these. Oh, interesting. And these are unwashed. Nope, these are washed too. Okay. Well, how about her? So I just thought you might like to see. They're called Job's, Jobs tears. Job's tears. And I think these are really neat. In fact, I asked somebody to send me some seeds from their hollyhock, and I will be happy to share seeds from the Job's tears with them. So at some point when I have more time, probably after maybe next February, I will have these polished up and um, beaded. And in fact, Polly, I can share some of the seeds with you. Let me write the name too. But there's something you can grow in your own yard. They make about a 2 feet at the most grassy plant. And sometimes it's hard to find the seeds. But Polly, just remind me and I will give you some. So, and you can grow them and then be watching. I personally love the darker seeds. And if you pick them earlier, they have a slight sheen. But I can probably polish these up and maybe even put um, a finish on them too. So, but I thought these are pretty cool. So thank you, my Katie. This is a lot of dedication, and because they grow and mature at different times. And oh, this is a pretty one. Let me show you. They're just all so unique. You could make a very interesting necklace with them. Look at this. Isn't that interesting? So, yes, I love sharing fun fun plants to grow. But all right, so I thought I would show you that. And then in a little while, Katie found a antique quilt frame for hand quilting. She found an antique quilt frame at an auction, and I think I am going to varnish them, Laura. If you get them, if you get them, if they don't sit on the plant too long, they, it's like the more the sun and the rain hits them, or if they fall on the ground, they kind of lose some of the sheen. But if you pick them at the right time, they have a natural sheen. And but I probably will seal them because I want them nice and shiny, and I want them to last and hold up to humid conditions. But see this box right here? My daughter has an auction house near her house, and they had that listed for auction. She bought an antique quilt frame for $3. So we're going to open that after we do show and tell. I think that might be fun to see. I have no idea what's in the box. I'm just tickled she got it for me. I don't have some people have treadle machines and antiques and stuff. I've got very little. I've got little bobbins, antique bobbins, and I've got an antique shuttle and an antique thread drawer, but I don't have all of those amazing things like some wonderful seamstresses have. So, really quickly, I also have to show you I got a bunch of crafts so I can start my Christmas ornaments this year. And I'll go through that bag and show you. I already have plenty of clear balls and clear ornaments that are more like a flatter oval. So I already have that, but I needed some fun stuff to liven up um, my Christmas ornaments. One of the things I love to do is I love to make everybody in the family ornaments. And so I kind of get up an assembly line going. And, but anyway, let's go right now. Oh, and you see behind me, you see the triptych, and I'm really enjoying it. So, and I looked, Jody and someone else, I forget who, had a great idea to put it in my sunroom. And Mark's outside the window, he's herding leaves. But thank goodness he wanted, years ago, he said, I want a big blower because that raking will kill you. But I said, get whatever it takes. If you're willing to do the leaves, go for it. And luckily, we have natural woods and a gully. We just blow them into there. Let nature break them down because it's nature's food, and it's easier. So, I'm going to finish painting this star, and then I'll move that out of the way and show you how to make one. You are going to be so happy when you realize how easy it is to make one. Now, let me see if I can find one of my, yep, there's a bone folder. Okay. Then I'm going to get, let me see. Oh, these are unseparated chopsticks. This is going to be wonderful to use. I've got scissors here, and let me see. Now, oh, here's better scissors. Okay. I don't like to take a lot of time with frou-frou, but if you want, you can use a ruler. So I will show you all of that. I went ahead and made them with cardstock, but you can use like scrapbooking paper. I want these to oh, don't let me forget to show you my experiment with two-sided peel and stick tape. Remember, I was telling you that I love watching these YouTube shows of how to make shoes, handmade shoes, how to make handmade suits from Korea, how they make clothing in China. And this double stick tape was one of the things I learned about that I'm going to try with you today. So I will grab some fabrics to remind me, and I'm hoping I've got enough scraps over here. So, all right, I think this will be fun to see. How does it work? All right, so that's another thing I have to do. All righty, so let me bring you over here to the work table. If you have a question to ask me, um, or have something you want me to see that you say, just type it in capitals. It'll help me see. So I have painted this side. Now I have this much to paint. And hopefully whoops. And I'm hoping Jody notices I remembered to bring down my silicone sheet so I wouldn't mess up my table. So I'm really trying to be more organized. Really trying. Okay. So it was so funny. Last night when we got home, we were starving. We hadn't had dinner. So Mark made us some cheese toast and canned chunky Campbell's chunky soup to warm us up. And I but by the time we ate at 11 p.m. and we ended up staying up, it was like 1 a.m. and he goes, "Oh my gosh, I've got to get to sleep." Because he gets up at 5:30 in the morning on work days. And so if he stays up too late, well, I hadn't relaxed down from such an exciting night. And so I was still very keyed up, adrenaline rush, the whole thing. And because I don't go out that much. So it was kind of exciting. But anyway, um, I ended up staying up working on the bracelets and things, and then fell asleep probably around 3 a.m. and woke up at 4 a.m. like, oh my gosh, I have got to get to bed. I was uncomfortable. I was cold. So I got up and went and stumbled into bed. Got up this morning. I thought it was 10 o'clock, but in our excitement, we forgot to set the clocks back. And so I realized, oh, it wasn't 10 o'clock. It was 9 o'clock. So I was only in bed for 5 hours. Now, that might sound just fine for some people, but for me, it still makes me pretty stupid. So I'm like, oh boy, the gals are going to see a different Well, maybe it's not that different side of me because I often come on here tired and a little goofy. But anyway, I just want to get this finished painting because I mix this. This is part of my metallic paint. So here it is. And it says shuttle art. Let me get my glasses on here. Yeah, shuttle art metallic acrylic paint. And this is what I get. I've gotten it from Amazon for a couple years. And I just love, I add textile medium and use it on fabric, just about anything. All right, so I had already pre-mixed this. This is a little bit of white, some glitter, pearl white, glitter, and ocean blue. And I'd rather not have to mix up more, so I just want to finish getting it painted. But I like this star because it has the look of a Moravian star. It's not as complex as Moravian stars. But since I live in the Salem part of our city, it's all the Moravians from Germany that came here. And so I see Moravian stars everywhere and I love them. I don't know why I keep touching that up because then I put it back down on it and the paint comes off again. But anyway, but I think I have just enough paint to finish this up. All right. But it's very easy to paint and you could do all kinds of decorations. You know the painting style where you take like not a popsicle stick, like a lollipop stick or Q-tip stick without the fluff on it, and you could paint them like that. You could spray paint them. You could put glitter on them, stickers on them. You could take a fancy sheet of scrapbook paper and glue it onto the cardstock before you cut it out. And then, if you glued it on, then when you folded it, it would already have the design. You could print your cardstock with a design and put that on, all of that. So, oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, I was a band parent for 12 years. And I don't know how I did it. I tried never to miss a football game, never to miss a competition. I think I was a little obsessed. But oh gosh, you're right about the band competitions will keep you out there. And when I was a band parent, I took the role very seriously. But being a band nana means I don't have to stay there too long. When I'm cold, and once my grandson is played, then if I'm too cold, I can go home. But luckily, we took coats and scarves, and we dressed warmer. All right, I think I just did make it. I mean, how's that for cutting it close? So let me close this container up. That way, if I just need a little touch up later, it might still be good. And then I have a wet cloth here, and I will wrap this brush in it. I'm trying very hard not to ruin my paintbrushes so easily. It is so funny. I tend to buy them by the tins or whatever. But here again is that star. And I think it's pretty awesome. I love it. And I think with sealer on it, I could even hang it under the sheltered porch. But isn't that pretty? So I saw this, what I like a blanket. I saw this on a site when I go looking and researching to find interesting crafts for you. I saw that. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this there. I'm going to take this away because it has wet paint on it. All right. Now get ready to see how to do this. All right. Now, what you have to start out with is a square of paper. You know what I'm even thinking of doing is using fusible to bond fabric to cardstock. I mean, you could do so many things. All right. I have to turn this rectangle into a square. So how I do that, I'm going to do, well, I'll try to do both pages at once. But what I do to turn the rectangle into a square is carefully fold or hold this here. Whoops, let me grab my pencil. Yay, I had one sharpened. But what I do is I fold this till it meets the edge and then draw a line. And that shows me this is the part to cut off. Look, come on, come on, come on. Now I have a square. Okay. So I took about 2 inches off, and now I've got a square. So what I'm going to do, get my bone folder here, and I'm going to do these one at a time. And all you do is you fold it in half this way. Use the bone folder to get a nice crease. That's what you want. Then you fold it in half this way. And by doing this, you're making creases. You're turning what is one plane into four. Okay. Now, see how you have that. Okay. Now, what you do is you take, okay, here is the open part. You take and fold this down to meet that folded line. Use your bone folder and give it a really nice crease. You do the same thing to this one. Just fold it to the middle and crease it right out to there. And if you don't have a bone folder, you could use a clothespin, a wooden iron. You could even use this chopstick. Yeah, I wouldn't push it, I would pull it. And over here, this corner's not perfect, but I don't really think it's gonna. There we go. Oh, I got it. All right. All right. So now when you open it, you've got a crease this way, and coming from the center out. Center out. So now what you do is you take your paper scissors and cut not quite halfway. Now, this might help if you use a ruler at this point. This is 4¼ inches. So I'm going to let me turn this around this way so I can see it better. But what I'm going to want to do, let me bring you in a little closer. What I'm going to want to do is I'm just going to cut just barely over 2. So I'm going to draw that line. In fact, it might even be too much. Just doing 2. So, okay. So you can always use a ruler, but what you want to do is cut less than the halfway point. Okay. If you cut too much, you'll have to put fill-ins. I'll show you why. So I cut here. I cut not quite all the way this, but you cut just a hair under halfway. All right. You can always cut more. Whoops. Now I'll bring you back up. There you go. Okay. So I can always go back and cut more if I need it. But if you cut too much, then you're going to have an opening. So not quite half, just a smidge under half. Okay. That might be a little too much under half. Let's see. All right. And I can show you what happens if you cut the line up too far. I can show you what to do to fix that. So now you lay it down. Well, actually, no, I guess it doesn't matter. I'm going to lay it down this way. And you've got a folded line right here. And I'm going to go ahead and draw it so that you can see what I'm doing better. So there is the folded line. You're going to carefully take, okay, make sure you've got that fold crease real good. You're going to take and fold this side up to that middle crease. Get it lined up first before you make the crease, because what makes these stars really pretty is to have sharp crease lines. And if you crease it and recrease it, it's gonna make it look sloppy. Now, if you've cut a little bit too much, one thing you can do to fix that, let me also get the glue I need. You need to use a strong glue here, like a tacky glue. All right. So let's say I cut that up too much, too far. Once I fold it, it would show. So what I do is take a scrap from the extra, fold it in half like this, take some of my tacky glue, and lay this little piece. This is like a little folded square. Lay it down to where it was supposed to stop. The line was supposed to stop. Okay. And just lay it there. Now, when you go to fold it, you won't even know that you cut too far. But so I've got this folded, then I bring this one over and fold that to the middle. Okay, now let me get my bone folder. I always like to show you what can go wrong and what to do about it, because we all make mistakes. And the thing is, if they only show you the perfect way, that's a lot of pressure to be perfect. And I'm creative, I'm not perfect. Okay, so, whoops, let me get my bone folder. Now, do you notice that my tacky glue over here, huh, it was getting carried away. Since I am this cheap, I'm going to put that glue right there so I can use it. All right, so then I just go around and I fold these up. And when I get it to, I want the edges to actually meet right there. Then I know it's right. And then do my bone folder like that. This one looks, nope, that's good. It's just the pencil line that went up too far. Okay, so you just go around to each edge. Now, wait till you see the magic happen. These are fun. Yeah, it can be a little tough on your fingers, making sure you've got it just right. But these are fun and easy. Now, if you didn't use cardstock, it would be easier to fold, because cardstock kind of fights back. But if you did these with paper, you would only get one Christmas out of them. And I personally like to have my decorations last a little bit longer than that. I get very attached to them, and I wouldn't want to have to make them every year. Okay. And now the last fold. After this, it's easy. And there's also something else that I'm going to add to the pattern. Let me show you. Pull that a little closer together. If you're short on the fold, you can fix that easier than if you fold it too far, because it will show if you folded it too far. Now I'm going to take, I see this is a little open, so I'm going to take my scrap over here and use that excess glue and put this on. So 2 of these I did go back to put I think, I'm going to measure this, because if you use a regular size paper, you're going to want to know. Yeah, it's just a hair under 2 inches. Just a hair under 2 inches leaves the perfect fold. Okay, so now the fun. For whatever reason, I glue this side all the way around the right hand side of this, and I go ahead and put the glue on all of them at once because I'm impatient. I'm that kind of girl. All right, so now we've got the glue. Put that lid on there. This is the magic. You take this and fold it up, and it folds up easily because you've creased it so well. Hi, Melanie. I know that's the hardest thing about being retired is you forget what day it is. I do that all the time. If I didn't have my cell phone set to textile talks, I wouldn't know what to do. So I folded this on top of the other one, and it had the glue. Then I take the chopsticks just to make sure that all the way down it's touching. Okay, that's how you get that. Hi, Alberta, sweetheart. So this is, I just love this. It's one, sometimes you see Christmas crafts and it looks pretty when somebody's really talented doing it. But honest to goodness, you can do this one. This one's much easier than I thought. So you just go around, and since you have that nice crease, you just gently fold this. And because you have that glue on there, you just fold it to make like a cone. You're working on a mystery quilt. Oh, good for you. No, we're always glad to see you. And you never have to worry about being late here. I'm just tickled that y'all show up. You don't know how happy I am. So, but now we've creased up this next one. Now, I have made a decision about this. I'm changing this pattern up just a touch, because you're supposed to then take this one, put it against another one, but it's hard to have this covered. So what I decided to do is use part of the scrap and make a solid piece to glue on here. But to do that, what I've got to do, I don't want this to show. Although, you know what? Will it actually show? I'm not sure. But I'll go ahead and I'm just going to take and trim the corners off. But this is something I just thought of last night, because trying to glue the stars together, wherever it's harder for them to touch, they kind of, and then sometimes when you glue them together, you'll see little gaps. So this is what I decided to add to the pattern, to me, to make it a little more solid and easier to deal with. Okay. And if you want more information on this, type into your Google folded paper stars, and you've got to look, because there's all different kinds. There are kinds, that just, you have to make sure it shows this shape. But is that pretty or what? Oh, that's so nice, Melanie. And aren't we tickled that Melanie healed beautifully from her shoulder surgery? I'm going to go ahead and do one more. I'm going to do it very fast. You can just watch this time. And if you need more information, or, you can later just back up the show and watch again. But just making sure you fold it in half just right. This is where being as close to accurate is very important, because you want these to be the same size and the same, everything to be so accurate, so then you can put them together. Oh, and Melanie, let me show you this one that's been painted. I just think it's really beautiful. Oh, it would be nice is to have snowflake little stickers to put on there. Oh, okay. So now I have folded it down the middle, side to side, and you notice on here I got a little of the paint on there, but that's okay. I think it'll be in the inside. Then I'm going to take, with the fold down at the bottom, I'm going to take and fold this down to meet the line. Fold it down to meet the line, making sure you have gotten that fold perfectly into that corner. All right. 15 years ago today, Barack Obama was elected. What an exciting day that was. Oh, finally. Now I'm waiting for the first woman president. Let me tell you. Okay, so now when you open that up, you'll see that you have beautiful fold lines across this way, and across both diagonals from here to the outside. Now I come here and I'm going to go ahead and measure, and then I won't have to do any repairing. And it is 1/8 of an inch less than 2. So there we go. 1/8 of an inch less than 2. Boy, I'm really changing now. I'm becoming accurate. Whoa. Okay. And 1/8 of an inch. Now this only applies to this size. And this hole, by the time I made this into a square, it's 8.5 inches by 8.5 inches. Okay. So that just a hair under 2 is because it's 8.5 inches. So it is, like I said, it's less than half. Okay. Okay. All right. And then quickly fold these to the center line. This to the center line. And if for some reason you didn't have it cut deep enough, that's no problem at all. You just come in and nip it again. But it looks like that was the perfect measurement for the 8.5 inch square of paper. I'm going to do this real quick because I want to show you how to glue them together. Okay. All right. Last one. This came out really well. All right, so I'll go around, do the same thing again. Where pick a side and stick to that side all the way around. And you must use a very strong glue, like a tacky glue. Okay, whoops. Now just bring those two pieces together to make it a 3D shape. And that's why you want to use something, whether it's a clothespin or a chopstick. Where'd that paint come from all of a sudden? But when I saw how easy it was to do this, I couldn't believe it. All right. Now, I'm going to use the chopstick to go down inside just to make sure they're all the way down. It's stuck together. Okay. Same thing for this. Go all the way down gently, just making sure it's stuck together. Don't be cheap with glue on this because you really, for it to stay, this is a more architectural type craft and you need that rigidity of it being well stuck. This one started to come back apart a little. Sometimes you kind of have to hold it in place just a moment to let that glue really work. But now I have put the chopstick down in there. It's all the way done. Now what I'm going to do with it, you know what? I'm going to do another one for this side because I just thought about this. I'll only have one solid side. This is still open. So using some of that scrap, I will cut a square. I will take off the corners, just a little nip off the corners. And now glue this to this side. So each one should have, I just like closing up this hole. This will make it much more stable too, because I want to save these from year to year. So this is something I added. I didn't see this on any of the sites, but I added this because it just made sense to me. All right. Now you take the two halves and you put them together by offsetting. You could put them together this way, but you know what? They don't even want to because of the way they're folded. They're not flat on the bottom. They're slightly concave. And all right. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to put the glue to join them on this one that's already dry. Plenty of glue. Now take these, making sure this is, whoops, don't go in there. You wouldn't believe though how much more stable this one is because the glue's already dried. So take and offset them like this. You know, I didn't even really need to take the corners off, but that's fine. And you just make sure you've got the diagonal well met by eyeball. And there you go. You just let the glue. Oh, Melanie had snow on Halloween. Oh no. Hi, Miss Mary. So I hope you like this, but then here's one that's already stable. The glue is dried. But see how it's kind of open in there? I think I'm going to prefer this one a lot better. I think it's just going to have a little tougher, I don't know, it's going to be more stable. So add that extra patch using the pieces, the excess you took off, because I took a rectangular sheet and made it into a square sheet. And here is a painted variety, but I think that I'm going to want to either use snowflakes and glue on there, or take a paintbrush bottom and do dots or something. I want to jazz it up. But look at that. And that hanging, let me bring you back up a little. I want to make sure I hang it so that it can twist and turn in the breeze. I think that'll be really pretty. It's as close to Moravian Star as I can get. Moravian Star, I mean, it just has things poking out all over. But there we go. So I have 3, and this is just a start for me, because I think all of my kids need one of these. So this is going to be just a start, and I'll decide what colors to paint them. But that I am really proud to share with you. I think I found a great idea. I've never seen them before this year, and I am thrilled. And they're out there. They're out there in all kinds of venues. So there you go. All right. So now what I'm going to do to let our, isn't that pretty? That is really, really pretty. So I like this. And what you do, oh, I know. We were even talking, Mary. What if you used fusible and put the fabric onto the cardstock? You can use craft paper, you can use any kind of paper, but I used cardstock because I want them to last. Now, you can't put them in a box and put heavy stuff on them. They would have to go in a plastic bag by themselves into the attic. But isn't this? I love this thing. I love it. And people are going to say, how in the world did you do that? Because it looks a lot more complicated than it was. All right. So that was fun. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I really, 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 really love that. And don't make too many at a time. Your fingertips get a wee bit sore from folding all that craft paper. I think I'm going to do the cuff bracelets in just a second, but I think let's have a little fun first. Let our brains relax a little. Okay, here are some of the things I've picked up this fall so that I can get ready to decorate for the holidays. Okay, here I got the miniature little uh, gifts. They're on styrofoam. Got some of those. I love those to put on my ornaments because my son is a drummer. I got a bunch of these, and I'm going to send him home with a bunch that he can hang on his tree. Now let me see what is in here. Oh yes, I got these hardwire um, needle threaders, and I think I'm going to enjoy those a lot. I picked up some pearlized buttons, I mean, pearlized beads, so that I can use on the um, ornaments. And I picked up a bunch of the wooden ornaments that I love to decorate and do some fun things with. And I've seen some of these ornaments that they're painted like a glossy white and they dip them into like a gold or silver paint. So there's a half moon or whatever of the paint. And I thought, oh, that's pretty. I got some more pom poms. I got some little bows. I have been looking everywhere. Some gold beads for the ornament. this is like a vine. It's almost paper, but it's kind of a fabric, a vine that I can put around some of the ornaments. I got a bunch of fake pine little boughs that I'm going to put along with the bows. I've got some smaller of the pom-pom, some more elastic cord for either ornaments or necklaces. I got some gold. This is the, if you put glue or something on, and these are little sheets of gold color that you can brighten up the ornaments. So here it's gossamer thin. And so you just put, what would be fun to do with these is use a hot glue gun and to make a design. And then, because that's just sticky enough, and then to rub the gold on it. So I could put each person's name on the wood. I'd be afraid to use a hot glue for a clear ornament, but for the wood, that'd be a great way to put people's names on. Here are more miniature little bows. Here is some suede, fake suede string. Here are little baubles that these are going to be the little berries when I decorate the ornaments with the boughs and the this is a twine ribbon. Let me see if I can pull some out here. I've done so much shopping because I like finding the best prices, the best sales. And see this? It's like made of twine. And I'm going to put bows on some of the ornaments with this. All different places. I have been collecting it from everywhere. I've got it in a Walmart bag, but I shop everywhere. Then I got some buttons, multicolored buttons because I want to make the Advent wreath. And then I got a package of bells. So I have been looking at everywhere. Joann Fabrics will have, oh boy, some of their doorbuster sales. And I love it that I can go there and get curb service. But I have just been collecting this stuff, little here, little there. This is everything new from that I didn't have last year. So I'm getting excited. Oh, anyway, whoop. But every time, it's so funny, I've got them in these bags because every time I just put them, okay, this is the bag that I'm going to need to use for the ornament. That's what I'm looking for. The one thing I've not been able to find anywhere that I wanted were good miniature little things to use. I have been saving. I have been saving for over a year. Like salsa, the salsa jars that are about this big, or the queso cheese jars that are about this big, and washing them and saving them because I'm going to make each person, grandkids, kids, I'm going to make them a snow globe. And I like those jars because they are tough. I've dropped them before and they didn't break. So I have been saving them for a year and got them all clean. And I thought, I'd love to buy miniatures to put in them just to save time because I've got so many things I want to make. And how do I have time for all of it? But I haven't been able. I have looked on Orient Trading Company. I've looked everywhere and I can't find what I want. I can find some resin figures, but they're expensive. They're almost $20. So what I'm probably going to do is I have plenty of polymer clay. I'm going to try to make little miniatures. And I figured I'll do a lot of snowmen. That's easy. Few Santas. That's easy. I do have the little, what do you call those little trees? They're made out of some kind of little grassy fabric. I've got plenty of trees. And I am going to have to see if those little presents with the foam inside wrapped in like a foil, I don't know how they'll do with the water, but I've got to buy distilled water, and um, I've got the glycerin from last year because I wanted to make them last year and I didn't have time. I also, I've been shopping on eBay. I'm trying to think of all the places. eBay, I do not shop at Hobby Lobby because I don't agree with their politics. So, but I love Michael's, but it's been harder this year finding the good deals. And I think, prices are higher. Before we start doing our cuffs, I'm going to show you. Do you remember how I told you I was watching on YouTube how things are made? It's fascinating. And I was watching over in China how, well, I got this, but it might be a little bit old because it's a little sticky. But I was watching how that they mass produce clothing. And the one thing that really surprised me, they had a couple shortcuts to sew on the edges of around the edges of pockets would be really tough trying to get everything just right. So they had a plastic stencil. It was like a little book, like this. They put the fabric, the pockets, on there, closed the lid, and in the lid was a little ground out path for them to sew to get the stitching in the exact same place. I thought that is fascinating. So they just put the pocket, closed the thing, and ran the sewing machine stitches in that, like a stencil, ran it in the stencil cutout. Then I noticed that they did not use any pins when they were sewing. Okay. So I thought, well, that's odd. How do they make sure they get a really good match? So I'm going to take these scraps right here and show you what I noticed they did. All right. Okay. So I've got the wrong sides here. Let me see. Yeah, because then when I put this together, I'll have right sides. Okay, and I'm just going to show you what I saw them do instead of using pins. Now, I would think that this is more time consuming, but not for them. And they got absolutely perfect seams. They took the double-sided tape, and they were fast at it, and they put it on the edges like this. Whoops. Make sure you get it on the edge. It would have been nice if I'd picked two square pieces instead of this oval, but hey, let's see it really work. Let's see if it does. But they were fast at doing this. All right, so now I'm just making sure it sticks down like that, and then I'm going to come and peel the paper away. So maybe they had a different kind of, they probably had a much easier to use double-sided tape. Okay, so I peel off the paper. Now I'm going to put this one down, and you put it right on top of that double stick tape. Now, just remember, they were very fast at this. And if you start watching some of them, you'll see them use it. So there is the double stick tape. Let me turn on my sewing machine. And so without using any pins, what I noticed is their stitching was perfect. Everything was absolutely right on. Nothing moved, nothing transferred. Oh, okay. I will definitely check that. That's great. Okay. Partyland. That's one I haven't checked yet. Thank you, Mary. But guess what? That double stick tape worked. Look how even this is. And this is a curve. That's pretty cool. Look at this. Now there's the tape shows right there. You got to make sure you get it in the seam allowance. And since they were doing clothes, that's much easier to get because it's a 5/8 seam. But look at that. Isn't that cool? So if you're making a quilt design that it's really hard, curves or whatever, it's really hard to get straight lines, I would absolutely do that again. That is awesome. So I've got these little, I need to keep these in a cool, dark place because it's already starting to degrade. But boy, is that easy. And look at this. I mean, hello. How easy. Isn't that cool? Oh, take the puppy to a break. Yeah, now you're living. Oh, did y'all hear that Alex Anderson's cat, Heidi, had to be put down? Her liver stopped functioning. And instead of being like 150 or something, I forget exactly the numbers she mentioned, but it was in like the over 100,000 or something, and they had to have her euthanized. And that breaks my heart. I'm so sorry, Alex and John. They loved that kitty. All right, so now we're going to show you the cuffs, and then wait a minute. I think I did things out of order. But maybe after we do show and tell, I'll figure out what to paint. I don't think I brought down new paints. You know what would be cool is you could take and use painter's tape on those stars and tape out a stripe paint scheme. There's so many fun things you can do. So, yeah, it made me sad for them because, they had lost their other elderly cat, and that was hard. They had her for like 17 years. And this little kitten was found in the engine of a car by someone, and they adopted it. And she was a funny cat. She was a little stinker, but they loved her. All right, what I want to show you is these are some of the fabrics that I chose to make ethnic cuffs. And these are probably from India or Turkey that they said Asia, but not the Far East. So I'm thinking that, that's where these came from. And here is an up close. Boy, you can do so much embellishing. And then here, this came out of Quilting Arts Magazine in 2009. And there is a list of supplies. Okay. And it says, I'll go ahead and read it off, just make sure. Heavyweight interfacing cardstock, silk dupioni, scraps of heavy lace, metallic lace, sari fabric, metallic organza, gold lame, and copper foil. Sewing machine and a jeans needle, machine embroidery threads, fancy trim or braid, cotton velvet or silk for lining, yarn for cord edging, bead or button. Okay. So that's what she suggests. But I looked at the pictures, but I'm kind of doing my own thing like I always do. You can tell Deb something, but you can't tell her much. This is a home decor, something I was given by someone. It's a swatch and it's probably out of design now. And then this was one of the African fabrics I brought back. Then let me pull. Okay, this is buckram. I was telling you about it. It's a very heavy. It's almost as heavy as cardstock. It's a heavy interfacing that I'm using to give the shape to the cuffs. And then I used muslin for the inside because I think it'll be very easy to wash if I need to hand wash the inside of the cup. So I just used some muslin and I went through my yarn drawer, and here one of y'all gave me this, and I forget who it was, but one of y'all they're so sweet and sent me this for my birthday. This is Sorry yarn. So it's bits and pieces of silks and things. Then I went to my yarn drawer and picked out things. I picked out 2 filigree buttons there. This is that pen cushion I made for y'all. I am loving this pen cushion. Love, love, love it. I love the weight of it, the feel of it. It really, with that tapestry fabric, it holds the needles in. I pick up anywhere I can. I pick up odd bits of yarn. I bought from Amazon one of those 150 skeins of floss. So I have every color imaginable. I picked up these years ago and it says pearl satin size 10. A good pair of pliers helps because when you're sewing layers and layers on, I made these all by hand. Well, not, I'm sorry. I'll clear that up in just a moment. I just sewed the basic by machine. Here is some metal ribbon, and it's got a wire on the outside, but I took and cut patterns out of the mesh, which is just a plastic and metal. And I'll show you that. Then this is some piece of GIMP that I've had for years that had started unraveling. And so I used the unraveled part right here on this cuff. Okay, let me show you this. All right, here is some fabric. This is some beautiful fabric that I made my dress to wear to my son's wedding out of this. And I just love those colors. And this one has only been stitched together. It has not been embellished yet. And here you'll see the buckram in here. Here is the muslin that's going to go against my skin. And then the pretty fabric. Now, you can either use beeswax or thread heaven. It's really good to condition your threads because they're going through a lot of layers and you want to keep them from looking, too nasty. Now, this is a yarn that I think looks really cool, and that's going to go on this one. Here, this one I used on that one too, and I'll also use it for this one. Then I have a little container that has sequins, all different color sequins, and beads that will be perfect to use for this one. So these are that's gonna be over here. I don't think I'm gonna use this anymore. I already I cut out diamond shapes to put on here. And I might use some sorry thread on that and this yarn. I I don't know where I got this from. I'm one of these people that I've belonged to guilds in the past, and when people bought stuff in they didn't want, I grab. And that's how I have just a little piece of GIMP or a little, you know, these I found at a place and they were just marked down so much and I thought they were pretty. I said, one day I think that'll come in handy for some hand sewing. So, okay, here and then here I have beeswax and thread heaven, whatever you need. Now, this one's probably the closest to being done. And this is from that little piece of sample upholstery fabric. And let me open this up so you can see this. It was a very natural, simple shade of grayish celadon, maybe, like a grayish celery color. And since it was so mild, so simple, I didn't want to do a lot to mess it up. So my embroidery threads, I kind of use something that I thought has a little color, but not too much. Now, one of the things this fabric has is these, they I think they're supposed to be like pussy willow little catkins, but boy, it makes it hard. Like right here, the fabric went out. I broke a needle trying to sew through those. So it's a little tough, and I'm not going to worry about it. Then I took little piece of lace, and I took some floss and no, it was a little bit darker floss, and I just went in and out all the way down. Have you ever had one of those? They call them like an entredeaux. It's a little thing that you can weave ribbon through. I kind of wanted that effect, and then I used the outside. I finished with a blanket stitch of the matching color. Then this is a light gray and lavender, and um, I did just stitches and a running stitch, and then little seed stitches, I think they call them. And then I found a button that I thought looked nice with it. And then I found this little piece of trim. I don't know if this is going to be able to hold up, but it also had the light green. And so I use that as my loop that I attach it with. So all I've got left to do on this one, I left my needle on there so I could show you. I didn't want anything too showy on here because this is so subtle. So I found that I had these seed beads that look like they're pewter. And oh, Michelle Lang is there. Hi, sweetheart. Oh, I'm so glad to see you. I keep saying I've got to send her another message or write to her or call her and see how she's doing. But if you feel like talking, maybe tomorrow we can talk on the phone with each other. But now what I'm doing, but I'm so glad to see you, sweetheart. Okay. So now what I'm doing is on this lace, I'm just taking the little pewter colored beads and I did all the sewing. This is ornamental sewing. But when I sewed the lace down, I use a light gray thread. Blends with everything. So, and if you have a good, well, this works good too. You just take your needle. You can, if you have a little container of the beads, you can run your needle in there until a bead pops onto it. But I just carefully, I'm zigzagging these pewter color beads. Oh, don't let it get hung up on another one. You got to watch what you're doing with this, but it's fun and it's simple. And I have to decide if I'm going to wear these. If not, I might just give them away. We'll see. But they're fun to make, and I love doing anything with embellishment. So to me, this was worth it. All right, so I only have two, and you notice I do a whole complete stitch around the bead because you don't want it to come loose. If you sewed them on without doing a whole complete stitch, you would end up, if you a bead gets yanked off, you'd lose them all. So let me come down here and put one more in, and then I can knot and bury my thread. All right, so I'm going to do one more. And this takes a while to sew them on this way, but I want to know that if I sew it on, it's going to be there. All right, so now I'm going to come up. I'm going to put a knot on the thread. Actually, I'm going to do two knots like this. One, and I pull it near the bottom, where it meets, comes out of the fabric. Okay, so I've done two knots. Now I just go in and weave my needle, not through the bottom, but through the middle. pull it until you feel a pop, and that knot is now inside the fabric where it's nice and safe. All right. So then, now I think I'm pretty much done with this. So what I'm going to do, right, let me bring this up and put, the trickiest part is not making them, it's latching them. And it might be a good, you know what I may do is I may use some of that elastic string to make it a little easier to do. But take elastic string, but cover it with thread by doing like a buttonhole stitch. So anyway, this is this one. And you see with the buckram, it has a little stiffness to it. So that's one. And then here is this one. And what I'm doing, so I have put this netting here and stitched it down with gray thread. Then I came in and put some sequins, but I didn't want to do too many. I wanted you to be able to see that cool stuff. I've come in with the floss and done little, what do you call them? Lazy daisy stitches, but in a row. Um, and then I used a beautiful turquoise and kind of just did a slanting stitch to join. I did purple and red and now turquoise. And then I took some little tulle in the right color, just kind of squished it up and sewed it on there and put beads on it. And now I'm taking, and of course, I already told you about putting the gold braid on here. And now I'm taking this interesting yarn and sewing it around the edges. You want to make sure that the edge of the cuff is rigid enough. I may even be taking some um, gold bias. I have some nice, not too shiny, but gold bias that I might run around the edge too. And I'd like to use some of this gold thread. I'm also going to use the gold thread on this one and probably accent the different designs. I'll probably put beads that match different things. So, whoops, let me put, it's so easy to lose these beads and everything else. In fact, I worked all Friday evening. I got a new bead thing and I gathered up all my little packages of beads that were stuffed in totes here and there and put them in one location. And Mark said, Deb, that's not good enough to hold it. And if thing falls apart, it's one of those stacked organizers. So now he's been looking in auto parts places trying to find me a multi-cubby, mini cubby toolbox. But I think this, between this and the gold thread, oh, I think I could do some really beautiful things with this one. So I'm not going to do these in front of you because you kind of know what to do, but I am going to I'm going to keep embellishing until you can't tell whether it's tapestry or what. But like I'll do little things with this color too. Just really, now I don't know. We'll see if I ever wear it or what. But the main thing was just the joy of embellishing it. And I'm going to keep going until it's really, because this was gorgeous African fabric that I picked up from the Greenville, South Carolina show. And I just think that I may add this to it. We'll see. But I've got lots of good choices to do here. And who knows? I don't know if that will match, but you can see here, these are the two colors of floss that I used for this one. All righty. So I think I've pretty much shown you all the stuff I'm working on, and I think these buttons are going to be a beautiful way to do this one and the one that looks like peacock feathers. Think that will be really pretty. And you know, when I'm working on something like this, I put all of it in a bag or tote. So I have all, and like I've got some all needles with big eyes so that I can do some of the, see, I did this on that gray green cup. So I need all kinds of specialty needles to make sure I've got it right. And I'd like to use some of the sorry. I've just got to make sure that the colors are going to be right. So I put all this in a sack and set it beside and along with these pliers to pull the needle. Because boy, when you start sewing around the edge here, I did that blanket stitch, all those layers, you need the pliers to pull the needle through. And also these ideas, because you can see, I don't know what I think the fabric was just a pretty straightforward fabric. It might have been a batik, but by the time she, this is lace, hand dyed lace that she put on there. Then all of the stitches, a button. I love this loop here, and I just think that's really nice. Now I don't know if she also puts the cardstock inside of it, but I was afraid to do that. I'd rather do a couple layers of the buckram, so, because cardstock, if it gets wet, oh, I think it would come apart. But I have to check. The cardstock might have just been, it might have just been to, yeah, it's a cardstock template. Okay, that's good to know. So you make it of your wrist to know exactly how big to make it. But I just think this would be so much fun. And with this one, you see the sequins and all of the stitches and the outline stitches. That's really cool. So I wanted to, when I find a good idea, I love showing it to you. So I'll put my inspiration in there. And, and this is that African fabric before I put all of the um, decorations on it. And this is the gray green before I did that one. So it just shows you can really, really change the look of something. All righty. Well, guess what? It is time to do, whoops. When you loosen the screw, have a good hold on. Okay, have a good hold on the camera. All right. Let's see. I'm still having my vertigo problems. I apologize for that. But luckily, I've got a checkup this Friday, so I can say to the doctor, what do I do? And just to remind you, Lisa and I got our favorite class. I can picture a model with a handmade vest, handmade hobo bag, and wearing that cuff bracelet. Yeah, yes. Well, my granddaughter gave me a compliment last night. She loves how I make jewelry and wear it, and I coordinate it all. And she said, "You just look so cool." The woman walked into the store, and I thought, that looks like my grandmother. She was so well coordinated. It's like, wow. When you get those compliments, you hold on to them because they're special. All righty, let's do show and tell. Now, I'm going to tell you, I have not checked show and tell. I have not checked email, anything. I have been too overwhelmingly busy. One of the things that I really want to do is finish getting this room clean. And oh, do you see that right there? That Charlie came over and we worked on her gown, her Anastasia gown from the Disney movie. And that's going to be, I forgot now what you call it, but it's going to be in between the lining and the finished skirt to give it fullness. So that takes on a life of its own. So I said, just wrap it up, put it on the table, it'll be fine. But that was a lot of fun to sew with her. That was very nice. Okay, here we go. Now, I want to see something. Hold on 1 second. Okay. I'm not sure if this. All right. I don't know if you'll be able to hear any of this, but here is a little bit. Okay. Oh, it helps if I put it right in front of the camera lens. My grandson is in that front row of saxophone players. We were so proud of them. All right. One day I'll actually get it downloaded so we can actually see it. Sorry about being so oh, you're so cute. You're so cute, Marsha. Okay, now let's go to your photos, and I'm hoping, let's see what I've got. If you sent me some in the last couple days, I apologize very much that I have not had a chance to go to. So I'll make sure I show them really good next week. Okay, here we go. Come on. Come on. Okay. I don't know why my computer is running so slowly, but I may, I can't restart it. Mark did warn me. He said, I don't know why, but um, your computer is running very slowly. Okay. Here is a quilt that our Alberta made for her grandchild. And I think it is wonderful. Let me close. Okay. Let me bring this up a little bigger. I think it's so pretty. I love it. So Santa's faster than a speeding airplane. And I just think that that is such a cute and humorous quilt right there. Oh gosh, those are cute panels. All right. Thank you, Alberta, for sending that. That is so cute. Okay. And then let's see. Anne. Oh, Anne has done so many great things. In fact, I bet you anything she has posted more, but I haven't been there to see them yet. So we will do a beautiful little show of these. Um, Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. And so I'm sure there are new pictures out there, but I apologize. I was not able to go check. Okay. That was wonderful. I love Anne's work. It's so joyful. Okay. Let's see. I think Betty had sent me. Oh, not that one. Betty Meisner. Yes. Okay. And here's her latest work. Beautiful, beautiful work. I love the free floating hearts on some of those blocks. This is what she did with her paper piecing pumpkin. And I think that is precious. And that's so it's Betty Meisner. I'm gonna have to, if she sends me some hollyhock seeds, I'm gonna have to send her some of the Job's Tear seeds. Look at those gorgeous hollyhocks. I love them. And there is our Betty. I'm so grateful your daughter took that picture. Beautiful. All right. Let's see who's next. BB. I need to write BB too and see how she was doing, because she's in a currently tricky part of the world, seeing family, and anything over in the Middle East right now is a little spooky. So I'm going to check with her and make sure that she's doing well. I've got to get back in touch with my Michelle and then write a quick little note to BB. I finally managed to talk to my own son yesterday, and I hadn't talked to him in 2 months. So, just one of those times. Okay. Miss Bonnie and the things she got completed that were on her September shore list. And I love how organized she is. And boy, has she been putting on our group's IO some great sites and free patterns, and wonderful. And I'm very careful. I don't think I have anything here. No. Oh gosh, it's so cute. Let me go back. Okay. My daughter made a doormat into a Barbie doormat. Oh my gosh, it was so cute. Okay, this is Debbie Hodges. Wonderful fall color. Look at the way that she uses her quilts to decorate for the season. Isn't that wonderful? And we have a couple people who do really good job using their quilts. Okay, now I'm going to go to Diana's Sewing Adventure. I love this artwork that she made for her son. It's peaceful, beautiful colors, Queen Anne's lace. I just love that. She did a great job with the fabric painting, didn't she? The color on the stems. So love, love, love her work. And then Miss Dolores. Oh my goodness. Miss Dolores's new works. Just the way she gets the fur and the eyes. The dogs are behind me playing. It's almost dinner time, the favorite time of the day for them. And look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Wouldn't you love to take a class from her on how to do this? She has even felted tufts. I assume she felted it, or she used the filene thread and then used a metal brush. But man, that's wonderful. And if you want to see, I love her bear here. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? And remember, that's a 3-inch finished work of art. So thank you, Miss Dolores. All right, now let's see. Let us. Oh, I think Miss Jody did have. Yes, she does. She can tell you that Bigfoot was sighted in her sewing room. Isn't that great? And she's so. Want to talk about meticulous. She chose the batik to kind of give his face some definition. How cute is that? I love it. Thank you, Miss Jody. Okay. Let me see. Miss Joni. Yes, she did. Their names, Jody and Joni, are right beside each other, and I try very hard not to confuse them. So this is a panel that she quilted for her son, and I mean, she quilted it beautifully. It gives such a feeling of movement the way she quilted it. Evidently, that's a place where they traveled to see, and she wanted to commemorate it. I love this dahlia. Then she's been making her own scrap fabric roping. So I can't wait to see what she comes up with. And not only did she make the wonderful roping, she made the spools that they're wrapped around by using paper coasters and paper towel holders. Isn't that great? What a smart lady. And then she made wonderful Halloween bags for her grandsons. Now that's a good grandma. I did not do that for my grandsons. So maybe next year there'll always be hope. But way to go, Miss Joni. All right. Now let's see who's next. Miss Mary. What does Miss Mary have? That's right. I showed you how she used her grandmother's colander to check the eclipse of the sun. That is fascinating. And here's the back of this quilt. I mean, she's got so many. Here is a farmer's wife, Civil War era, or was it Jane? Oh, I've forgotten now, but boy, oh, beautiful. And okay, that is beautiful. That's a lot of blocks. And then let's go see Marcia. Marcia does a beautiful job with decorating with everything that she makes. And so she decorated this fall with that beautiful bed runner. Really shows off the bedspread nicely. Her puppy. Look at her wonderful mantle. I mean, isn't that wonderful? And that's where I got the idea this year when I made my own gourd garland. Look at that. Look at that handwork. I love it. Brilliant. And she painted those gourds and did that decoration. I love this fall quilt. Isn't that beautiful? So, and she made leaves but put magnets in them so they'll stick to metal doors. That's a cool idea. I love that birdhouse that she painted to go with her decor. So I love that when people have that joy of life. And that is beautiful. All right, Miss Melanie. Miss Melanie's been busy now that she's got a very good and pain-free shoulder. So look at this cutie pie quilt. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Love it. There's a table runner. Cute, cute, cute. This is, she had a name for this, and every week I forget, but it's like a purse. So the way it has two strings that run around, you can tighten it or you can loosen it. And I think it's got a bunch of pockets in there. I think you've probably seen one before, and they're wonderful. They're great jewelry cases, anything, hand sewing implements. But then I wonder if she has a GoPro, something that cuts, because look at all these tumbling blocks. Isn't that great? So she is having such fun now being able to work again in her studio. She has missed it. And I know what she feels like. If I go more than a couple days without, um, if I go more than a couple days without sewing, I can't wait to get back to my machine. Okay, let me see now. I think, let me see. Um, Nope, I think that was it for today. So I will promise to make sure to check and get the latest and greatest photos next time before we meet again next Sunday, because that's our show and tell day. And your work means a lot to me. So I'm just sorry that I ran out of hours in the day. I hope you'll understand that. But I love showing off your work and I love the inspiration it gives me. So now we're down at the end of our show. If you have any questions for me, any suggestions, um, and one more visit with my hand crocheted pumpkin, only the second pattern I've ever followed. I'm trying to make a cowl now, a cowl to go around your neck for cold weather. So I have a feeling this might end up being a cold winter. I used Harry Lauder walking sticks, hot glued together as the top, and I think I really like it. So just wanted to make sure to show you that one last time to remind you of Job's tears that are easily grown in the garden. And it is a seed, it's like a grass, and it puts out those seeds that can be used as wonderful beads for beadwork. It has a natural hole through them. All right, I think pretty much. If there's any questions, yeah, it's so wonderful to see all of you. I hope I haven't missed a single person, but thank you for sharing this time with me. And if you haven't set your clocks back, do it. You get a whole hour extra today, and you can't beat that. You can't beat that. Thank you for this time. Thank you, Marcia, for taking. Oh, there's Mitty. Thank you, Marcia, for taking such good care of all of us. And thank you, seeing so many of you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now, I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to get warm and I'm going to do some little handwork. I hope you do something that makes you feel cozy and happy and joyful. And I tell you, if you're anything like me, creating, making, that's my joy. And it's pretty wonderful. So thank you for spending this time. I'll see you Thursday night for Portrait Quilt and next Sunday. Okay? Take good care. Y'all are the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.